Hi, guys. Uh, I'm Radhika Nathany. Here we have Joanna Varró, and we are creative directors. So good to see you guys back. So, just a quick reminder that we guys have started this new show. It's time for Jo Rad. And the format of the show is that we'll pick up a question from the world of creativity, design, emotions, those sort of things. And we'll have a timer, which Joanna will keep a watch on, which is for 20 minutes. Last time we tried it with 30 minutes, but now it's for 20 minutes. And we will go impromptu really fast and try and answer that question. After that, we would love for you guys to put in your thoughts, give your opinion. We're not saying we'll be right. We will just do a candid conversation. This is not something that we prepare and come with, it's impromptu. So it's really candid. And we would love to know your opinions. So, does that sound like a good intro, Joanna?
I think so. So after 20 minutes, we're gonna still have 10 minutes for the audience to join in, I suppose.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
And for today, we'll be talking about, is good design necessary, or is it really something that matters, right?
Correct. Are you ready? Should I?
I'm ready. Let's get to it.
Okay. I'm setting the timer for 20 minutes. Here we go. And let's see if we can answer the question in 20 minutes.
Perfect. So, where do we start? I have a first question.
Go.
What does design mean to you? Before we come to good design, what does design mean to you?
Design means that we have a set of visuals, but could be actually also probably products. Something that has a purpose, perhaps to communicate a message or to maybe solve a problem. So it's something that helps the audience to make their life easier, or maybe how to say? I don't know. Help.
Okay. Let me add some fun things to it. That for me, the first thing that design brings to my mind is a lot of visual aesthetics for sure. So something which has a nice taste for me, like it or not, be it a place, a person, whatever I look at, good aesthetics do matter to me. So that is design. And for me, design has a lot to do with life. So it's almost like, how do you think of things? It's almost trained me in a manner to look at life in a more fun way, yet more strategic way, if I can say that. So it's very broad for me. It has so much of life, it has so much of niceness involved in it. What do you say?
Yes, but I guess that design doesn't have, on its own, design doesn't have to be good aesthetically, because it could be bad also, right? It means to you,
Yes.
perhaps, but
Yes.
we can see a lot of good and bad design out there. So I guess that's the only difference. And then what would be making a good design? It's very subjective, no? I mean, like, can you define it? What makes a good design?
It's very, very subjective. Like for me, one thing, when you were just saying that what makes for a good design, the first thing that came to my mind was intelligence. Like for me, something, of course, the visual part is there, but even if, let's say, that something doesn't look that nice, but somehow it's telling me a story, or somehow it's kind of, very smartly put across a point, I would like it.
So it serves
So
some purpose,
yeah.
a good design. Does a good design always have to be aesthetically pleasing? You know what I mean? Like, so sometimes I see a design which is like nothing special, but it
Mhm.
kind of does the job. You know, like it's minimal, but I'm not sure if it's good or bad. So, but it like serves some function, right? Let's say a book which has a good typesetting, it just does the job, right? Nothing more has to be done there. So it makes it kind of a good design to me as well.
I think here we can add some more context, that in what context are we talking about good design? So, one thing that for me, good design connects with is that it automatically adds some sort of increased value or premiumness, if I can say. So, like as you said, that of course, even if a book has just been normally printed with a very basic typesetting, it has still been designed for sure. We cannot take away that fact. But if I want to add a vibe to it, or if I want to make it more precious, or if I want to probably, make it like one of those things that somebody's preserving, or say at a very blunt level, increase its monetary value, then I would go into more details and I would look at the aesthetics as well. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes sense. It has different forms for sure. So it could either serve like a function, right? Like the voting page, right? The ballots. There is this. I think there was one interesting case when actually they designed it wrong, and because of that, the elections were not accurate. I don't remember now the example, but because the dots were just too close to each other, they couldn't understand if they did it well. So I think design has many, many forms. And in that sense, it's kind of necessary to have a good design, no?
Yeah, that is something very great that you've shared actually. So for you're saying that good design also means that you've really thought through what's the purpose of having it and what's really going on. So if it's not solving that problem or if it's going wrong, it's bad design, and hence that's bad. You need to
Yeah.
have good design, right?
Yes, I think it's so in traditional sense, the good design is not necessary. Like you can live without pretty, a book cover. But, if your book cover is not having legible title or
Mhm.
doesn't attract attention, then it doesn't do the job, right? So I think it's necessary to make sure that it follows some basic rules, like, depending on the purpose of the project that you are working on, right?
Absolutely. And I think I would say one thing that maybe that's just a personal opinion, but I would be very blunt to say that I am somebody who judges a book by its cover. So let's say there is a book which doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to me, and if nobody has recommended that book to me, I would be very picky about actually taking it. And this is just an example of a book that I'm giving. That for me goes for anything, like be it a place, be it any other product or anything else. So for me, that validation will have to come in if I don't see something visually very appealing. Like I would judge, okay, I don't think I can manage this, which is totally, maybe that's why I'm in the design field. Maybe
Yes,
that's
that's
why
what
we
I'm
talk
thinking.
of
Could it be
visuals.
because of our taste in general and because, we already have the eye trained for that? Like people might not notice.
But if people were not noticing, let's forget about us. Why would a company, let's say like an Apple, talk so much about design? So if it was not working, if this whole notion of having good design and a design being premium and what you said, it's solving a problem, if it was not important, why would a company like that talk so much about design?
Makes sense. I think it's their signature as well, design, because of the software itself, which had to be pretty. I think it's kind of like their signature, but we also have many products which are just ugly. I'm sorry, they're just so ugly, the packaging or anything, but they're good, right? I still buy them because they are good products. So there is also the case when the product is so good that maybe design is not that important.
So, but again, it boils down to the same thing that it cannot be without design, right? Maybe the difference is that product was meant for that sort of a purpose. Like, let's say if you're doing something very grand, you want to gift something very special to somebody, maybe you would consider the design aspect in that case.
I guess it's a soft line, I think there. Depends if I guess if I wanted to expose it to more people,
Mhm.
then but for example, I have clients who come and they come with a project which is not validated yet. Let's say they want to make a packaging for a new product,
Hmm.
and they ask me about huge identity system. Do I do this, or do I say like no, go first and make a validation if people want to buy your product, right? And in that case, should I make this fancy design or should I just like launch it out and see if you know what I mean? Does it make sense that perhaps sometimes you don't need that much of the design?
I think that is an absolutely different context. That's a business situation in which, yes, it's not about getting the perfect picture. It's about testing your product and getting a business validation. So in that case, I think, yeah, you don't need the perfect design. You just need to validate your product. So the purpose is absolutely different.
Makes
But
sense.
again, for me, it comes back to the moment you say that, okay, I need to price my product at a certain price point, or this is where it needs to go, or this is what I want to do. So if you have those big dreams, I think then you need to really think about design. Again, this might be really biased because both of us are from the field, but let's say if we're talking about clothes, do you
Yes,
think design matters?
definitely. I think, do you mean design of the cloth itself?
Yeah, so like even in clothes, or probably again, I'm going back to the taste part, there would be something which is a good, well designed thing and something which is not so nicely designed, right?
Definitely. It comes to the functionality as well, right? If it's not nice in the touch, perhaps, or like I wash it once and it shrinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it comes to quality. So good design is necessary because it could add quality to your product.
Okay, so one thing that we've also said that it's functionality, there is quality, there is definitely a visual sense. So one thing for sure that which is like generally we hear that design is just about visuals. It's not, right? I think it's much more. And that is where
Yes.
you start getting into that good design mode.
I think this is actually a very good point that you made now. That is something that would differentiate it. So I would say like first invest in good design in a sense of the backbone of the project. So like make sure that your book binding is right, that the title shows right. If that's the only thing you can invest in, like make sure at least that everything is legible, that the clients can find it, that when you grab the product, it's like kind of making sense with the packaging. And then perhaps the visual part is actually the second step. Of course, ideally you have it all, right? But I think what is really necessary is that first step to design something so that it communicates a message, it solves a problem, or helps a user in some way, depending on the product.
No, that's true. That's true what you're saying. And I guess when we talk about it, we will go to the concept part and the thinking part and then come to the visuals. For us, it's a complete package. I would love to know if there is anybody in the audience watching it, even at this point, because that might be a third view. Maybe you're not a designer, maybe you're just from the outside perspective. Do you have anything to jump in and say and add to this conversation within this 20 minutes that we can probably further brainstorm on?
If we have no one, maybe I can add also a recent situation where I had a client who came to me and he said that we have really bad design. I know it, but it's selling so well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why do you need me then? And they say, we just want to kind of improve it because, okay, we've kind of validated and it works. And then we actually discovered that it was selling very well, but the type of the clients was not necessarily ideal, let's say. So with the design, we also tried to change the clients, and it was really scary because for a while he said there was silence. So he was like, I gave you a nice design to do and you broke it. There is no more clients. But there was a bit of waiting time and it did work out. It's just because of the different type of people, it took more time. But, how do we kind of help in that situation? Like it's a bit risky.
Yeah, so again, I think there is so much context whenever we talk of design, right? Like, as you said, maybe like if you know Adam JK, right? He talks about bad design and he talks about memes. So, memes are really bad design. They are visually not the best, but they're working because they're meant to probably just make you smile, just give you a thought in that quick mode. You're just browsing your social feed and you get it. And that is their purpose. It's solving the purpose. Nobody is spending hundreds of hours on it. That just works perfectly fine. So I think it's the context. And if somebody is going in that situation to put in 100 hours to make a post, I think that is the bad use of design, because that's where the intelligence lies, that you have to judge what is needed, what is the correct thing to do. And the other aspect that comes into, I would go back to the point that the moment you want to step up the game, the moment you want to get, you know that, okay, it's meant to be more premium, it needs to get more exclusive, you have to start looking at the aesthetic sense. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes sense. It's just, is it like, then again, I know it depends on the context, but so it is your answer that good design is necessary for everyone who's working on, could you say it's a general rule that design is necessary, or there are cases where you would say like, not
No,
really?
it wouldn't be good design again if you talk of the functionality part, if you talk of that part which is actually really there into design and people just take it on the visual front. So if that's there, yes, it is needed all the time. I mean, imagine you're sitting on a chair which is not comfortable, or which has been made not to, that's also design, right?
Yeah.
So it is needed everywhere in life. I think that's where I actually go back to how I started. For me, design is so much around you. It's all over, or everything that's there around us has design in it. And making sure that it's good is needed, because otherwise, something about it would be uncomfortable, something would feel, you know, not so nice. There'll be some disconnect. So that's
You
how
maybe
I
didn't
look at
notice.
it. Yeah, you would not notice, you would not even know. Like, it's actually reminding me of this quote. Um, I'm forgetting what was the real quote and who said it, but she said, a designer said something like, "You don't realize that the refrigerator has gone bad until it really goes off," or something
Yeah.
like that. So I think design is something like that for me.
Yeah, makes sense. It's the same, like you don't realize that the shopping mall has a wayfinding system until you get lost. So there are these shopping malls when you enter and you just kind of go in and like everything is crystal clear. You don't even notice the signs. You know where is the bathroom, you know where is this shop and that. And you just kind of take it for granted, right? And then there are those shopping malls when you enter, you get lost and you're like, who designed that sign? It's like horrible. I can't find anything. So maybe it's also the fact that we don't notice the good design always, that it's easy to spot when, like you said, something goes wrong. We don't always see all the little things that are designed around us.
Absolutely. And I think if I can add another example, it's so subtle. Like now I'm thinking of the McDonald's branding. So there's so much red, right? And we've studied that, and that's something so normal for us to understand that red is a color that evokes hunger. So that is why it is used in so many restaurants. So that is something so subtle, right? I mean, like for an for a person who's not really into design and just in that everyday space, they would be like, yeah, how does it matter? But subconsciously or indirectly, it's working for them, it's getting them business, it's evoking hunger. So
Yeah.
that is good design, right? And that is something that excites me about design, this sort of thinking.
So good design is invisible, I think.
Wow, that
You
is a
don't
great
notice
way
it.
to
It's,
write it.
it's so good, so well done that you just, don't even notice that it's there.
I think that is a great way to put it, almost. And that would be a great closing, that good design is invisible. It is so good that you don't even notice it, and yet it is completely affecting you subconsciously.
So the final verdict is that the good design is always necessary.
I'm going to make a note of that. I loved that closing thought, that good design is invisible.
It's not my
And that,
quote. I think I heard it somewhere, so don't take it as my quote,
oh,
please.
that's okay. But then I
I'm
will
pretty sure
frame it in
somebody
some
famous
nice
said that.
fancy. We'll frame it in some nice fancy way and put it. That'll
Okay,
be
so I'll
nice.
ask last question, challenging if it's possible. Like, what if I cannot afford good design? So let's say I'm launching a product, I kind of validate it, I know it works, and my budget is really limited, right? So what do I invest in? Like a marketing plan, a logo?
Oh, if you're talking of that sense, you take a call. If you're saying that your everything is working and you have full faith in it, go ahead with it. But if you feel that no, you want to think through, like just the example I gave, a McDonald's color. So it's, if you have that understanding and that respect that, okay, it will subconsciously affect my people and ultimately the business, then you take a business decision that, okay, this needs to be invested into. Go ahead with some good design. And yeah, that's how you take a call. But if you think that no, it really doesn't matter and it's okay, you can take that sort of risk, it's okay to go ahead with marketing. It's a business call, I would say.
It's a business call. Good point. Good point. So you take some kind of risk, right, with this decision then?
Yes, absolutely. And for me, in fact, good design, any design for that matter, is pretty much like investing in, let's say, uh, any service that you take or anything that you do. Let's say you go for a haircut. Okay. So you're taking a risk at the end of the day. You want to look good. Now you can live without a haircut. Nobody, you can just be yourself. But if you feel that no, I need to look a little more prim and proper, or maybe I have an occasion to go to, I need that haircut. And now that haircut may or may not turn good, but you put in some sort of trust into that person who's doing it, your hairdresser, you go for it, and you go out into the world. I think it's just the same thing with design.
Makes sense. Well, I'm lucky because my husband cuts my hair, so I don't have that problem. But
What are you saying? Somebody cutting curly hair?
well, you can't see, right, if it goes wrong. So I guess invest in the things that matter. Like if you want to put a book on the bookshelf or a package on the shelf, perhaps yes, that's something it's really, really necessary. Like if you get a haircut on the curly hair, okay, like forget it. You can cut it on your own, I can take that risk. It's not gonna be
Oh
visible.
my God. I have done that in this lockdown. Oh my God, we finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we answered the question. One more question answered.
Oh, yes. This was the second episode for those who don't really know what we just did. So, this is our new show that we're experimenting with. And this is the second episode of It's Time for Jo and Rad, wherein we take 20 minutes by the clock, which Joanna keeps a watch on, and we try and address a question from the field of design, creativity, life in general, something that we can resonate with. And yeah, so currently, are there any comments or questions for this one? For, for anybody who's watching us live?
I think we haven't got anything at the moment. So perhaps we can leave it as it is. We're going to upload also all the episodes to YouTube eventually so that you can like kind of check it out. And if you have any suggestions for the next questions, because at the moment we kind of talk about things we are curious about, like something that just happened in the industry and like bugs us. So this time we were wondering like, do we even need to make this design or not? And we decided to answer it live. So if you have better ideas, better questions, just let us know.
Absolutely. And if you're already watching this, on YouTube, if you're watching the recording, so you could still probably leave some comments or your questions on this. We would look into it. And you could also reach out to us on our DMs, right? If there is anything specific.
Totally.
Yeah, so I'm there on Instagram at Laughing Popcorn and Joanna.
It's
How
Varró
about?
Joanna.
Yeah, there you go.
Easy. Cool.
All right then. Cool. So we ending the stream now. See you guys next week.
See you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye bye.